Okay, so Vegas layout is dropped as you can see here, and yeah, no, don't worry, the bunkers aren't going to be yellowish, orange, and this really light blue. My printer is apparently out of color ink, so I didn't realize that when I was printing it. It already printed them off, so we're just going to go with it. So what I'm going to do is, well, you guys know the drill by now. I'm going to go through the layout, kind of give you my first impressions. I already like it. I think it's going to be a really fun layout. I think it's going to be something that's going to be super quick and be something that it's just going to be fun. So let's just jump right into it. So let's go through this back line. So all I'll do is the back line, then we'll get into the snake, then Dorito, and then the center, and then we'll get into more of the center, and then bounce shots. So let's go through this. So first things first is this back center. So I really like how this back center actually has some good shots, mainly on the Dorito side. I think you're going to be able to drop it over the top here and drop into that Dorito one. Now the thing with this Dorito is I think if you stay low and then dive across, it's going to be, it's going to be good. I think you should be able to get out of the way of the lane. There's a chance that maybe if they stand up kind of tall, that they might be able to drop it over the top. So just be mindful of that. Yes, I do say be mindful of it, but ultimately I'm just looking at paper, so it's hard for me to see exactly. But these lanes on the Dorito side, I think are going to be pretty useful. You can see a lot of these gaps. Now they are more blind shots. So you're going to want to set up maybe targets that you can hear, so that way you can dial in those shots, because shooting up over this brick, you're not going to be able to see where the paint's actually landing. So maybe have someone run it, or have someone kind of stand there and just tell you if the paint's high or low. Shooting up into the center, you're going to be able to see if they're trying to fill up into the center. So let's say that they are pushing this way and then getting up into this brick or something, shooting this way, and also shooting into this this tower here. You're going to be able to do that. And then, of course, shooting into the snake. Now, I think the snake is going to be a very aggressive one. That's just my take on it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But you can shoot over into these gaps. So just to have that in mind when you dive into the snake, it might actually be best just to crawl in and then follow along this line here. But I'm going to talk about why it might be an issue doing that. So we'll talk about that more when we get into the snake. Getting into like this God bunker, it's a tall tower. You do have a shot cross field if they're trying to break into your side of the field on the Dorito side, but you do want to be careful of that because it's such a far shot that all they have to do is wrap pretty easily to put you in and then dive across. And by the time you come back out to shoot again, the ball is going to be maybe halfway there and they're already in the next bunker. So you don't want this guy to be the one that's stopping that. There's some other bunkers that can do that. You do have a shot into the center. Now, again, remember, like I've said before, all of these shots, they have back at you. So you don't want to think, oh, I'm going to get here and kill these guys. No, that's not always the case. It might be that you get in and they have that same shot back. So shooting into the center more, you can shoot into this wing and also drop it into the back center. So this looks like it kind of be sort of a thread the needle shot, because you're going to have to shoot through here just past this tower. And I think you should be able to drop it into that. Then looking heads up, you can stop that guy from shooting, getting into the snake. And also, if maybe you have someone here trying to deny your snake player, you can at least get into here and maybe start shooting into this way, maybe catch him off guard. The snake corner, I think all of this seems like a very aggressive field, but this snake corner does have some good drop shots. So if you get into here and they dive into the snake, you can kind of stand up a little bit. Now it is an Aztec, it's the shorter tower. So shooting up over the top here, you want to be careful of any drop shots this way because you don't want it to be that you're standing up over dropping paint into here and then someone shoots crossfield and shoots you in the head. So you're going to have to kind of figure out where that sweet spot is. So you can shoot down the tape, but you can also shoot up over the top of these little W's and drop it into there. Then shooting into the inside of the field, I think it's going to be better for you to post onto the tape and shoot that way. Now, if they get into the snake, we can talk a little bit more about, there's some better spots that it looks like you can get into. But this is a good spot if they at least stop here that you can just start dumping paint into there and they're not going to be able to move. Okay, so we got those three. Let's talk about this tall cake. So into here, maybe even running and gunning out, you can drop it into that snake corner. But once you're in here, you have a blind shot over the top there, because this is an Aztec. So you can shoot up over the top of it and maybe drop it into that snake corner, and then kind of thread the needle here, and you can drop it into this tower. Also, you have a shot through the center, so maybe if someone keeps delaying and then filling in, this is a good spot that you can kind of tuck in. Be careful of these guys shooting that same blind shot, but you can shoot that guy if he's trying to fill out into this tower. As for the tape, it's not going to be as strong. So it's going to be something that at least you can put in your mirror and then dive into that Dorito. But over the top, there might be a shot here, over the top of this pin, and drop it into that Dorito player. Getting out to the corner, this seems like it should be pretty decent. You can shoot through a couple Doritos, so you can at least see that. I don't know if this is going to be the best spot to stay at. I think the center is going to be better to deny the Dorito side, but this is an option that you have. So maybe you're here, you have a player move up, and then maybe your center guy dies. This wouldn't be a bad idea to fill out this way, or actually move up. But let's say that you did fill out. It's not going to be the end of the world, because you can still wrap on the outside, and then you're able to shoot the outside of those. Now, if they get past here, let's say that they dove into this Dorito 3, you can't see anything. So that's the only downside. And then also you have these inside shots here. So again, remember, you want to be careful of your pack, and that's the thing that's tough with these tall cakes, is that you have to really push against them, because if your pack is showing a little bit this way, you're going to get shot in the pack. But you do have a good shot into this snake 1. So maybe if they're kind of trying to push into, shoot the inside, if you get out here, it looks like you can drop a shot into that player there. So that's the back 5 bunkers. So let's get into the snake. You can see it's kind of an interesting one. So when you actually get into the snake, you do have some okay shots. I wouldn't stay here necessarily. Depending on if you have someone else in the snake, then it's not a bad thing to stay here, because it's a big bunker that you're going to be able to protect your front player with. But if you look inside, you do have a couple shots. I mean, if they are here and you don't have anyone on the Dorito side, it's not bad if this player was posted inside. At least this is my opinion right now. But you do have some good shots over the top that you can drop it into these little W's if they're trying to move up, or if they're trying to come around and crawl this way, you can stand up a little bit more, because the slant of the wing drops this way. So you can kind of stand up, just tuck your hopper in a little bit, and then drop it over the top, and you're going to be able to shoot into that gap there. Getting into snake 2, you have that same cross shot there, and you're starting to get a little bit more into here, but I really wouldn't stay here unless they're forcing you to stay there. Getting into this little W, you do have some more shots, but I really think the best thing to do is just get on your gut and go all the way down. But let's say that they have a lot of paint dropping in and stuff like that. You do have a lot of options in these little W's. So remember, all of these bunkers have the same shot back, but if you get into snake, we'll call this snake 3, you have shots into the center, then you have shots into that wing, and you can start shooting into the Dorito side a little bit. The shots get better as you move up, of course. So once you get here, you have better shots into that center brick. You can't shoot this other one, but let's say that they're here. You can shoot that and then shoot into that wing, and then some better shots here. And then, of course, once you get into here, this is where you really kill that center player. Just know that they can look right back, and while you're setting up, they can shoot you. So this is something that you're going to want to dive in and shoot right away. So that way you can maybe kill that guy in the center or catch him off guard. So maybe he's posted Dorito way. You can get in and make it where you end up saving your Dorito side. Same thing, shooting into the inside here, and then of course like that. And then obviously again, you get into their side of the field here, the shots get really, really good. So this snake looks like the aggressor is going to be the one that is going to be winning this. Getting up into here, it's going to be really tough to run and bunker someone because it's so open. There's nothing that you can really dive into. So if they're trying to shoot, let's say that you're trying to run this guy down. If I try to run around this way, I have all of these bunkers that are standing up as well that are going to be able to shoot down for me to not be able to get that guy. Same thing if the other side of it is if you're trying to crawl down, if they get into here and kind of stand up and shoot down, there's a chance that they could shoot you. So you really need to hug this beam and then get down. So make sure that you have someone behind you, because you don't want it to be that someone gets into here and then just kind of shoots down on you. But it's a risk reward thing. So if you can get further up the field, even if you stop here in the beam and don't try to jump out here, you have these same shots. You could pop up, shoot 1 or 2 bodies, and then if they shoot you, you did your job. You're able to take a couple of players with you. So this is going to be a tricky snake, because the guys that are risking to get all the way up here, if they can do it without people knowing that they're there, they're going to be able to take a couple bodies. But if they do get in here, I think right now, and of course this is before playing the layout, getting into this wing here, you can just drop it right over the top and shoot out that player. But if they jump over, it's going to be a little bit more tough. So you might need to actually dive out into the little W and then post down tape, or have someone fill out into the corner here to shoot down the tape there. Okay? All right, let's get to the Dorito side. So flip it around. Let me go like this so you can see it a little bit easier. All right, so this first Dorito, you can stop a couple little bumps here. Now, again, the issue is that if they wrap real quick and throw a couple balls in where they should be, by the time you snap back out, they can dive into that next Dorito. So you want to be careful of that. But if you're just dumping paint, you might be able to stop that guy from being able to move up the field. If for some reason they do get into here, you have to be careful, because they can shoot on the inside. But if you're shooting both sides of the Dorito and make it difficult for them to come out, you could probably stop this guy from being in here. From moving out of there. You do have a couple shots on the inside, so if you shoot up over the top of the brick, let's say that the tape has you in or someone else is shooting the tape, you can look inside and try to shoot out that back center and shoot out this tower here. Getting into the little baby Dorito, you do have some better shots, but the downside is that with such a small bunker, if you get trapped, it's going to be kind of a death trap. That's really what it's going to come down to, is that you're not going to be able to get out of there alive necessarily. I would maybe get in here and shoot a little bit and then try to get into a bigger bunker. And obviously, once you get further up the field, you're going to be able to do a lot more damage anyway. So if I'm in here, yes, I can shoot some of these, but some of these are like I have to thread the needle through here, and then shooting up down the tape is going to be a little bit more difficult, because they can stand up a little bit more in that Dorito. But looking inside, you do have a couple shots. But once you get into here, you can see the orange line. Sorry, my highlighters aren't the best. You can shoot a lot more once you get into this Dorito. Then once you get into here, you're going to be able to shoot out more of that snake. Again, be careful that if they're in that snake 1, the good thing is that if you can bait this guy to switch this way, your snake might be able to get down the tape and then shoot him and then look inside and start shooting other people. But once you're into their Dorito, obviously you're going to start getting some more shots. So it's going to be worth it to move up the field and try to dominate in that way. So again, back here, you only have a couple shots. As you get further up, this bunker seems pretty good. But once you get into here, you're going to have a little bit more of a shot on that wings pack, maybe a little bit more on the snake, and then you can kind of stand up and wrap a little bit as well. So if they're trying to get into this Dorito and then fill in, you can kind of stand up and shoot down on that Dorito. Downside is if they are able to fill out, you can't really see a lot. But if you dive into their Dorito, then you can just shoot down the tape and just kind of wait for them. And then I didn't mark this, which was my fault. So let's look here. So you do have a pin that's kind of protecting you, but you can get shot by that Aztec. But again, remember, you can do the same thing back. And you're going to have to back up a little bit to shoot the snake. But that pin is going to protect you a little bit, but it is blocking some shots. So it's probably going to be better to get in here and wrap. Then if you can get to their side, then you can start shooting packs and then get down the field. But just know that if you are wrapping, they can move up and you can't see it until it's too late. So if you don't know exactly the body count, I wouldn't play like you have the Dorito side, just because you don't know. They could be moving up and your players aren't seeing that. So just be careful of that. That could be an issue. All right, let's get into, I guess, the center part 1. So this can is pretty solid. Getting into here, if you have a lot of paint, you can just dump it right in there and they're not going to be able to move from that cake. It's going to be a lot more difficult to battle out of that cake. If they do get into the D side, this guy is going to be able to drop it into here. Now this Dorito here, this little baby Dorito, can kind of thread the needle. You can kind of do the same thing back, drop it over the pin, but I think they might be able to get a shot in there. So you just want to make sure that you're really tucked in. I think that's going to be the the make or break for this field is making sure that you're playing tight. Just play like the snake or the Dorito is always hot, and you're going to be okay. So again, in this can, you can shoot past here. So let's say they do get into this corner, just drop it into both spots. You're going to be able to trap them there. They're not going to be able to move. And then if they do somehow get into here, you are going to be able to shoot this way. I would probably just take a knee because they can shoot up over the top of this pin. But if you're taking a knee, then they can only battle you out of this spot. And it's not like they're going to try to come and get you, because they'd have to come this way, and you're going to be able to see them as they come around. Getting into this tower, you do have some shots into that Dorito side as well, some blind shots. So if you're here, it wouldn't be bad to throw a couple, just to throw it in and see what it is that you might be able to clip out. So maybe someone says, hey, the Dorito 3 is shooting the inside at me. This guy can kind of shoot up over the top and drop it into that Dorito and maybe catch that guy off guard. So on this side, you can shoot the inside there, of course. If they're trying to delay and then fill out, if you get into here, you can stop them from there. And also, you can kind of thread the needle and stop them from going from that tower into the snake. So you're going to be able to drop it through there and maybe catch them as they're trying to fill in. This Aztec here, you are going to be able to do a lot of damage on this snake, just because they're not going to be able to move. They have to battle you out of an area that you can kind of get up a little bit more and shoot down on them, so that makes it more difficult on the snake player. You want to be careful, though, of that Dorito, because if you're showing a little bit of your pack, they're going to be able to shoot you. I wouldn't have this guy shoot this way only, because it's such a far shot. It's gonna work, sort of, that you're gonna be able to stop these moves, but again, once they put you in, they just have to dive. It's not a big bump for these moves here. So when you're shooting this way, just know that if they put you in, you might need to dive into this brick, which I think these are going to be useful, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's see, I got these. Okay, so now this center wing. Now, I do like this wing. This wing, you have a lot of options. You can dive into either of these bricks, maybe even go here and then dive across. It's going to be a little bit more difficult going this way, just because you have some of these cross shots here. But I can drop it over the top of the brick. I can shoot into this gap here, and also I can stop them on that gap. So it's almost like let them think that they have this move, and then just wait here, and you're going to be able to shoot that. Or, and we'll talk about this brick in a second, I would probably get to that brick and then wait. So that way they think that you're still here, then they try to move, and then you can shoot them on that move. On the snake side, when you're looking this way, again, if they're trying to delay and then fill up, if you have someone here, you can shoot that gap and stop them from moving in. You have an inside move, so again, if they're trying to fill out. This is going to be a little bit more difficult of a shot, but I think it is possible. It's probably going to be dropping further back, but you're going to be able to shoot over the top of that brick. And then, of course, because you're standing up completely, you can really push into the wing and then drop it down even better into this snake. So you have a couple options with that. As for the very, very center, so into this brick, you're going to be able to shoot a little bit this way, but this is where it's going to be more useful, is being able to wait on these gaps here and stop that guy from moving. Same thing with the Dorito side. So you can kind of wrap a little bit more and shoot the outside, and if they do make it, you can just kind of roll off and start shooting there. Again, if they do make it, you can just roll off and just push into that brick more and be able to shoot that. So if someone is in here and you're at this wing and you have guys in the Dorito side, it might not be a bad idea to come through and bunker this guy, so that way you can open up the Dorito side a little bit more. On the snake side brick, you do have even better shots into that Dorito. So this center is going to be good. Like most of the time, the center is good for being able to stop some of those moves. Because the brick is laid over, you can still stand up a little bit and shoot down, but you're going to have even better shots into that snake. So maybe sending two guys there might not be a bad idea, to have one look this way, one look this way, or you have one looking that way and one looking this way, or a mixture of the two. You can figure it out. We'll see what happens. I don't know how this field is going to play, but I think it's going to be a big risk field, and it's going to be one that I think it's going to be just the aggressor, which I like. I like those kinds of fields that you're going to have to really push and get it into someone's face. Like, I like to go and bunker people in the center. I like playing the center. So if I can get up into here and shoot someone and then run through and bunker this guy, or run through and bunker that guy, it's going to be good, because then you can start shooting backs and packs when you get onto their side of the field. Okay, so as for bounce shots, some of these I'm iffy about, but I put them in because who knows. Again, this isn't the end all be all for bounce shots. We'll see how these actually work, but this could be a starting point for you. So we'll go over off to the D side first. So shooting the inside of the Dorito and bouncing it off this can might go in. Now, if they're really tucked in, I don't think you're gonna be able to shoot them. But if they're looking inside, you might be able to bounce it off into their hopper or something like that. I do think that this should work. It looks like it's far enough that it's not just going to break on the edge of the bunker, but shooting inside at this brick will allow that to bounce in this way. So this would be a good way actually to, if there is someone here shooting this cross, that you're going to be able to shoot that, bounce it in, and then dive into that little baby Dorito, the Dorito 2. So it's something. It's just an option that I think might work. If it doesn't, so be it, but it could be something it's going to be worth looking into. Into this baby Dorito, let's say that they have a Dorito 1. I think you should be able to skip it off the other baby Dorito kind of low, and it might bounce into there. Again, all of these you're going to have to go and test out. It's just some that I saw and went, maybe. In this brick, I think they have to kind of thread the needle. I think you might be able to shoot into that pin and bounce it into that guy. So because it is further out, you're going to be able to shoot it into there and then bounce it in. As for this tower, I think you're going to be able to bounce into the Aztec, and it's going to skip into that tower. So that's going to protect some of your snake guys if they're further up the field. And also, if they're in the corner, I think it might skip into the corner there. If you wrap and shoot this brick, there's a chance, this is all speculation right now, that it can skip into that other brick. And if you're in this brick, I think you might be able to kind of thread the needle here, bounce it. So let's say they're kind of playing more the outside because you're shooting at them. Skip it off this can, and I think it should go into that baby Dorito. And then also if you shoot this pin, I think it'll bounce into that Dorito 4. So tell me what you guys think. This is just my first impressions. So you can see there is a whole bunch of craziness with this layout. So go ahead and put the comments down below how you think it's going to play. And I guess I'll see you guys in a future video. And as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.